Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Julie Andrea, and this is Behind the Obsession. Welcome, guys. Um, this is a space where we can talk about life's ups and downs and how we find strength and peace through it all. The holidays are a difficult time of year, but many of us, they can be difficult. If you're dealing with grief, whether it's a loss of a loved one, a relationship, or even life is not the way you used to know it, you're not alone. And today I wanted to just share my own experience with grief during the holidays and some practical ways that I have learned to cope. And most importantly, remind you it's okay to feel what you're feeling. It really is. So let's dive into it. For many people, the holiday is a time to celebrate, and it's just about celebrating, meeting your families and sharing things. And when you're grieving, it kind of feels like the world is moving on without you, and that can be very hard. I know that, it's hard to, like, you have to put up this face because I did that too. So you're putting up this face, and like everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, they're so excited," and you're like, "I'm not." And I know that feeling all too well. Um, and I'll just give you some backstory. I lost my oldest son a few years ago, and it is and still is very difficult during this time of year. Um, I never shared this, but let's talk about it. So, my son was murdered by his ex girlfriend, and it's it's still traumatizing. It's still difficult to talk about it. It's still like, wow, he's still not here. Um, and the holidays were his favorite time. And the reason why it was his favorite time is because his mama could cook. So, it would always be like a running joke. He would always go, "Ma, like these girls don't know how to cook." And he would be so excited. Like when I tell you so excited to be home and be eating whatever I cooked. It didn't matter what was on the menu. It didn't matter what was on the menu. Darian was about whatever I cooked. So I knew what his favorite meals were. He loved mac and cheese. He loved my yams. Um, my kids are sides. They love sides more than they love the turkey or, so, and coming from, this is a Guyanese household / Guyanese American because of course my kids are American, but I'm Guyanese. So, we fuse our culture into the holidays so well. And I think that he was always excited about this time. So, of course, when it came time for my very first holiday season without him, it was heavy. Like I was carrying, like I was used to him, like in the kitchen with Mom, like, "You want me to grate the cheese for the," like he was always helpful in the kitchen with me. And to this day, this is one of the reasons I still can't bake right now is because he was always very like, "Mom, you want me to frost the cake? You want me to do that?" Like, "You need me to go to the store?" If I ran out of something, he would go to the store and get it. He didn't care because he knew that he needed this item done, like whatever it was, like the mac and cheese, and I ran out of cheese. What? He will go get it because he needed no, he wanted his mac and cheese. And it was always difficult going through the holidays without him because I knew how much it brought him joy to be around his family. He loved his brother and sister and just loved my cooking and loved being with his family. And I know that that's important to him. And I think that, with everyone being festive and the love is, everyone is excited, it's like bittersweet in a sense because I'm missing him and he's not here, And that's the hard part for me, is because I'm making his favorite food and he's not able to be here and enjoy it, um, you know, the way he would. If you're feeling this way, I want you to know it's normal. Grief it doesn't take a holiday. It's okay to feel sadness when the world around us is celebrating. And it's okay. It's okay for you to feel sadness when the world around you is celebrating. Over the years, I've found some ways to navigate the holiday season while honoring my grief. Here are a few things that help me, and I hope that they can help you too. So, what I have done is kind of set boundaries. It's okay to say no to events. Like I've learned how to say no. I'm not coming over. Um, because sometimes I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to be bothered in a sense. And give yourself permission to prioritize your emotional well-being, especially for the first year. I I think I did cook, but it was very small and it was just me and the kids. Um and even in that, and normally in my family we will before we're not like a traditional like, oh, everyone sit at the table and we'll all eat. So normally after I make dinner, I'll put it on the table. We will hold hands and then we'll go around and say what we're thankful for. And that's pretty much our tradition, and we've been doing that for years. So we would go around and say what we're thankful for, and then we just dive in and eat. And in that moment, I remember our first year. And everyone, around was, going around and saying was thankful. And I was thankful that everyone, I remember saying like I was thankful that everyone was here. And again, Darian left us in June. So this was fresh. Like November was very fresh for us. It was like not even 6 months had passed since he had gone. And of course I cooked, and in me cooking, I was still feeling his presence. I was still feeling him like here with me. Um, and that was very difficult. But what was good for me was to see my kids, like my other two, still wanna, like, because at first I was like, oh, I'm not gonna cook. And they're like, how are you not gonna cook, mom? And they were very like, no, come on, mom, like we can still do it. And just there cheering me on and just keeping the spirit of the holiday, still alive. That was very good for me. Another thing that you can do is honor your loved one. So one thing that I have done that has brought me peace is during the holidays, I make a plate for Darian. So I'll make the greens, the everything, like a full plate, stuffing, the turkey wings, the mac and cheese. I make him like he's here, and he is here, a full plate, and I will set it on my ancestral shrine for him. So again, that's me honoring him in a way that makes me feel good, because I know that if he was here, he was going to make himself a plate and he was going to sit here and enjoy it. So figure out a way that you can honor your loved one. And again, it's whatever you want to do. If anyone else thinks that it's weird, or who cares? You can do whatever you want to do, because this is your way of honoring your loved one. A next thing I would suggest is lean into your support system, your friends, your family. Don't be afraid to reach out to any one of them, and just who understands your grief and who will give you grace. My best friend, my sisters, my cousins, like they all understand. Like no one during that time, I think when I did my first Thanksgiving, I don't know if my best friend was over or my sisters were over. Whoever was over did not find it alarming that I made a plate for my son? No one. So be around people who is your support system and who understands your grieving and how you're grieving. Um, Grief can also be exhausting. So my next tip is to practice self-care. Um, it's exhausting to be crying at the drop of a hat. Like, I would be fine. I would be cooking. I would be doing cleaning, and then I'll start crying. And then I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm going to go to bed. And it'll be like, Mom, is everything okay? I just need to lay down. I just need to rest. Like, it's okay for you to just stop and just be like, this is what I'm doing. Um, and I think once you, and this is important because it's like you have to learn how to take care of yourself. Um, it would be me taking a walk. I also journaled. So my best friend had bought me this journal called Simply Grateful. And it's a journal to reflect on the good things in life. So every morning I would journal how I felt. It gives you prompts and then you can journal how you feel. So today, I'll just choose one. It says, today I'm grateful for, and it's a prompt. And then you just write what you're grateful for. And just to start, here goes one. It says, today I'm grateful for choosing me, trying to figure out what I want to do and how I go about doing it. That's what I wrote on that day. So figure out, this was helpful for me because I can then put my feelings somewhere, like write it down. And I didn't necessarily have to share it with someone. It was just my way of like, okay, if I'm feeling a certain way, I would just open this and it would give me a prompt and I can write about it. Because sometimes I couldn't think of a prompt or I couldn't think of how I felt. I just knew I was sad. Um, Another thing is like, so I'll watch like my favorite movies. Like, I love watching The Photograph. I can watch that 50 million times and it could just be background noise or I can get all into it depending on how I feel. But, I'll lay up in my bed, turn on The Photograph, and it's a great day. So find things that bring you joy, because, of course, your emotions are going up and down, and that's okay. And it's okay to just say, you know what? I'm going to stay in the bed today, or I'm going to go for a walk, or go do something fun that you like to do. Like, I'll go thrifting, or you can go shopping, like things to get your mind and just in a better mood. So find things that you enjoy doing. One of the hardest things that I find about grieving during the holidays is that the pressure to be cheerful. It can feel like there's no room for sadness, and when everything around you is so festive. But here's the thing that I've learned: you don't have to fake it. You're allowed to feel your feelings. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to take a moment and be quiet, take it. The holidays aren't perfect. It's about your connection. It's about you being your honest self. And honestly, I don't want to I don't want to fake it for my kids. I don't want them to see, oh, like mom never cried. Because then it's like, that's not real. I can't be crying behind closed doors and then they never see me grieve. Because then when it's time for them to grieve, they need a reference point. Like, how did mom handle that? And of course, every death is different. Every grief is different. But they do need to see that. Um, so definitely try to figure out how you can lean into that. And also, I think that I was trying to think of like, just be honest with yourself. And a lot of us don't even know how to be honest with ourselves. So that starts with that part too. Like, figure out what it is and how you're being honest with you. Truly. And then you can really dive into that. Um, yeah, and I think too, I did therapy for a year, maybe a year. I can't think of it how long, maybe more. Um, but I started doing therapy for a few reasons. I My marriage ended after 20 years, and I never went to therapy to deal with that. And then shortly after that, uh, I lost my son. So I had two tragic things happen. Um, I was grieving the loss of my marriage, and then I was also grieving the loss of my son. And I felt as though I needed to have someone to talk to about how to deal with these losses and make sure that I was healing, because I didn't want to go into a new relationship or affect the way that I was raising my children, because I still have two children that are looking to me to continue on. Um, and I think, even with my losing my son, that really put a battery in my back. Because he was 29, and I guess we all think like we have so much time. There's so much to do. He's so young. I can, I'm waiting for grandkids, like all these things, and I'm thinking that these things are happening. And when I lost him, I was like, I was always like, oh, I'll go do this. I'll do this. And that put a battery in my back like no other, cuz I had never been to Vegas. I know, imagine. And I was like, oh, it's time to go to Vegas. I had never been to New Orleans. I went to New Orleans. I'd never been to Chicago. I went to Chicago. Like, there were so many things that I had on my list of things to do that I had never done. And I was like, I'm sitting here waiting, thinking I have like all this time, and not realizing that at any moment that could be stripped from me. So I do want you to live your life to the fullest. And the reason I say this is because I remember my son, he would always be like, he would get paid and he'd spend his whole paycheck in like 2 days. And I'd be like, Terry, you need to like, you got to budget, you got to plan. He was like, Ma, tomorrow isn't promised. And I'm like, why would you say that? He was like, Mom, can we just worry about today? And that was truly his mentality. He lived for today. And I didn't understand that or realize that because I had never had an opportunity to just live for today. And he truly lived for today. And in honoring him, I make sure that I'm doing the best that I can in living for today. So, I reach out to my friends to let them know that I love them. It could be random. I could just be thinking about them. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I miss you. Because I don't want to be like, oh, I should have said something or I should have done something and I didn't. I know I'm going on a rant. Let me drink some juice. All right. So, would you believe me if I told you that grief and joy can coexist? I know it sounds a little crazy, but until now, I didn't think it was true. Like, I didn't realize that I could actively, I'm still actively grieving my son, and I'm also happy. I know. I know. Over the time, I've learned to find small moments of joy. And in the midst of all the sadness, I will be doing something and I'll feel an overwhelming sense of joy. I'll find a picture, I'll see something of Darian's, and I'm like, my baby. But then I'll also, in that same breath, I'll be like, oh, I miss him so much. So it's like every day I'm grieving, and every day I am joyful for another day. So it can coexist. And just know, like, And I know that part of this grief and joy yin yang that I've been doing and still is doing is part of the reason why I want to bake. So I've been thinking about baking, and I want to do it because I know how much joy it brings me, and I remember how much joy it brought Darian for me to bake. And so that I'm actively like working on because I do want to bake again. Um, so I just want you to know, like, if you are grieving, I encourage you to look for the small moments of joys. The times where my son would call me and he'd be like, "Mom, what you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working." Or if I'm out, he'll be like, "Oh, you living your best life?" I am, because he would want me to live my best life. And I honestly am living my best life. I'm living my wildest dreams right now. And it's because of him. Like, he's honestly my biggest cheerleader. Even like, I had him when I was 16. And when I tell you he's my biggest cheerleader, he's always been like so supportive of everything that I've ever wanted to do. And I can't let him down now. I could, like, if I was like sulking and sad, he would be so pissed. So I think that I make sure that I'm doing my very best because I want to make him proud. I know that he would want to see me happy, and that I am. Um, so I encourage you to look for the small joys. They don't have to be big. Sometimes it's the simplest thing of watching our favorite movie. So my favorite movie since I was a child was Pretty Woman. Don't ask. So, and Jerry knew that. And I remember one time he was in the hospital, and I went to see him, and I said, the hospital doesn't have many channels, and he's flipping the channel, and he gets to the movie, and he goes, "Mom, you want to watch Pretty Woman? I know that's your favorite movie." And I'm like, "How do you know that's my favorite movie?" And it was. So we sat there and watched it. I but so now when I watch that movie, that brings me joy because I remember the last time I watched it was with him. So I encourage you to find your joys. It just little things, because it makes me smile, it makes me happy, and then figure out what that is for you. Okay. So I want to leave you with this: grief is not like one sided in a sense. Like, there's no right or wrong way um, to get through the holidays. It's okay to miss your loved ones. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to take a step back from traditions because they may be too heavy. Um, it's also okay to smile. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to enjoy the present moment. Healing doesn't mean that you're forgetting. So just because I'm healing and just because I'm finding my moments of joys does not mean that I forget my son. I'm not forgetting him. Um, I'm carrying him. I'm carrying our memories. I'm carrying all of the love that I have for him forward. Um, and I think that's the best way to do it. I have like I in my office, I have him sitting there with me. In on my nightstand, he's there with me. There's moments of him like everywhere in my house. He is here. He's present, and I'm moving him forward. Although I'm not in the same home, but he's still moving forward with me, and I'm still carrying him in moments where I make a plate for him for the holidays. He's still here. So I know the holiday seasons. Um, this holiday season, I hope that you give yourself grace and you're doing the very best you can, and that's enough. Like, you don't got to do nothing else for nobody else, just for you. Okay. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you're grieving this holiday season, I would love for you to share your story in the comments below. Let's create a community of supporting and understanding. It's a reminder that we're never truly alone. If you found this video helpful, give me what is it? A thumbs up, a bell notification, tell somebody, all that things. Um, I just honestly wanted to share this with you um, because I'm finding joy in the little things and I'm healing. And I hope that this can help you as well. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember you are stronger than you know. You really are. Because sometimes I be thinking that I didn't realize how strong I was until this. So I just want you to know you think you're strong, you're stronger than you know. Okay. Until next time, talk to you later. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to mention. I also love this book. It's Marianne Williamson, Illuminati. This book also helped me when my son passed. It was a book of prayers, and there were certain prayers that I would read in the morning or in the evenings that really helped me. And I wanted to mention this only because it helped me and it could help you. So I wanted to mention this. I will link it below. I will link both of these below. Um, yeah.